that we have this afternoon. And to take you through this wonderful display, delighted to welcome Flight Sergeant Arthur Sargent.
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and what a privilege it is to be here again in the main arena at Crufts, the biggest dog show in the world. Us for the Royal Air Force Police and our dogs, we do not take this lightly. We are so proud to be here. And more so, we're proud to be here because of the support we get from the British public back at home, so that when we're away on operations and manoeuvres, that support means a hell of a lot to us. So I'd like to, on behalf of all the team today, and my forces back, all the RAF Police, my guys back at camps, to thank all of you, the great British public, for supporting us. Without your support, our job would be really hard. So thank you very much for that. Right, ladies and gentlemen, you may have seen the Royal Air Force Police a few years ago, all in #1 uniforms, white hats, jumping over fire jumps and sacking lines, fast agility and what have you. We still do that in our spare time, but we're very much an operational role today and an operational capability. The display we're going to show you today is showing you all the elements of what we, as a police force, are capable of delivering in any theatre around the world. What I'd like you all now is to imagine, this is anywhere in the world, nowhere in particular. We will gradually go through each phase and show you how dogs working and how RAF police men and women working. So, this is a standard day. Normally the day would start off with an O group meeting, giving us a briefing on what our task would be that day. The patrol that's about to come out have had their O group briefing, and what they're going to do, they're going to come in and clear a bit of the arena, and then move on to a VCP, a vehicle checkpoint. The vehicle checkpoint we're using today could be at any camp around the world. We alternate so that insurgents don't know which gate we're going to be at on that day, so they can't mount an attack on us. So this is a procedure we pretty much go through most days. Different times of the day, different routines, so that we don't become repetitious. Repetition is not very good for us service people. So down the bottom hand side, you will now see a patrol starting out on one of its daily tasks. Now, the boys and girls you see here in this patrol are from the Tactical Police Wing from Royal Air Force Henlow in Bedfordshire. The Tactical Police Wing, where any incident in the world happens, these boys and girls are the first to go in. They are extremely well trained, and technical side of their trade is exceptional. They will go in difficult conditions with infantry, special forces, and set up an airhead so that we can get aeroplanes coming in to reinforce the troops on the ground. Training with what these guys do is meticulous and carries on for many, many weeks. The patrol you're seeing here, they're looking through the SUSAT sight on top of their weapons. The reason they're looking at that, not necessarily looking for snipers or enemy, they're looking for anything on the ground that is out of place. Ground awareness. It could be a pressure pad, it could be an IED. And just basic patrolling, looking on the ground, could save their lives or a member of the team. So it's very much a team ethic that goes on. In the middle, you can see Sergeant Shakespeare, forgive me, and Arms Explosive Search Dog Kudos. What has happened now, they've controlled the ground, they've set up a defensive posture so that the search dog can now clear the area before they mount the vehicle control point. Sergeant Shakespeare will now send Kudos out. He's a black Labrador, he is 8 years old, he's coming towards the end of his career. He's done a tour of Northern Ireland for 3-4 years out there. He has had significant fines out in Northern Ireland, which sadly we're still getting out there. He's adopting what we call a free search, where he's casting from left to right. All the time the handler pushes the dog, and then the handler moves back. So the dog is covering the area and he's working the air to find the scent of an explosive or a firearms. Notice the difference between the handler and the dog. In a real situation, who was out in Afghanistan, something like this dog would be twice the distance. And all the time, the handler is watching at his dog, looking for a different behaviour. Either a check step, change in breathing, the tail going a bit quicker. We start to recognise the dog telling us there's something in this area. In a real-life situation, as soon as ever the handler sees that, he will call the dog back to him, tell the patrol, then we go into an IED procedure. We won't do that today because IED procedure is very lengthy, and for the spectators to watch it, it's pretty boring. So as you can see now, he's now adopting a systematic search. He's done a free search of the whole of the area, so Sergeant Shakespeare is happy that it's safe for him to move into that ground. We call that a security bubble. So he's created this security bubble, he's come in, systematic searches to hand, so the dog works a little bit tighter. We tend to do that on objects where if a device was placed in there, the scent might be held a little bit, so it takes the dog to work a bit tighter to find the IED. There is a bit of a myth and a rumour going around that we're just using dogs to get blown up so that our troops don't get injured. I'd like to just sort of knock that on the head at the moment. You know, we spend a lot of time with these dogs, training them, bringing them to a very high standard, and we're all dog lovers, we get very attached. So the last thing we want is any dog to get injured. 9 times out of 10, if the dog's injured, the troops are as well, such as the devices are put out. So the last thing we want is a dog getting injured. The other thing I'd like to bring to your attention is how fast this dog has cleared this area. He's covered the ground and he's covered the boxes. A 4-man patrol with using electrical equipment, detecting the ground for IEDs, whatever, could take up to an hour to clear this. The dog's done that in a matter of minutes. The problem we have out on the ground, if we're static for an hour, we're easy for insurgents to see what we're doing and then mount an ambush against us. So it's important we keep moving all the time, making insurgents thinking what we're going to do next. Changing our roles so that we don't become predictable. But over a 6-month tour, now and again that happens. This is why these boys and girls are adopting the defensive postures that they are at all time, watching for any insurgent movement, any icon chatter over the radio. So very much a team exercise here. You also notice the pace that they're working in. All these boys and girls who have done a tour of Afghanistan, some of them have done Iraq and Afghanistan as well. The kit that they are wearing, they're not fully kitted up. You can imagine they'll be carrying about 50 pounds of equipment on them. Most of that would be water, working in 50 degrees of heat. With the Osprey body armour, they will lose quite an amount of kilos each day, so it's very difficult working conditions. It's the same with the dog. We try and work him at a nice pace and keep his fuel tank as high as we can for as long as we can. All the dogs out in theatre, we have 24/7 vet coverage, probably the best veterinary coverage that you could ask for. So everything is well maintained. Right, ladies and gentlemen, the patrol has come in, they've secured the area, the dog has swept and kept the area and made the area safe, which is the first thing we do. We have to make it safe for ourselves, and in any village where we're doing it, we have to make it safe for the locals. The last thing we want is locals coming in and detonating IEDs. We're there to win hearts and minds, so it's very important we win the hearts over of the local community and we build trust with the people there we are there to protect. The VCP is now in place and we await our first vehicle to arrive. Standard procedure now, we're dealing with a modern day car. Else in Afghanistan, most vehicles we're dealing with are 20 to 30 years old, so they're very run down. As normal, this may happen 4 or 5 times a day for local residents, so it's important that we build up a rapport with the local community, because they can get the same with us if we go to a football match or a big event. If we're being searched continually, it does start to annoy you. This is these people's daily lives. So if you notice there, the policeman is having a chat with him. He's trying to get, he may know from previous searches, building a rapport and building trust with us. We're trying to do this for their safety as well as our own. The occupants have asked to leave with all the bags. There's some conversation going on as well. And the other thing that could happen here, and while we need to build a good rapport, we get a lot of intelligence from talking to people out on the ground, because they're frightened talking to us in the villages just in case other people see them. So there might be an exchange of information going on that could be very valuable to us. As you see now, the dog is now going to start doing the vehicle search, which is basically a systematic search. He's working the dog low, underneath the engine, then into the grills, and any creases inside the car. So any scent liberation that comes out, it gives the dog a better chance of finding a scent that's there. Like I said, out in warm climates, you're dealing with vehicles at 20, 30 years old. They haven't got the tight seals that a modern car like this has got. You do normally have a warm breeze, so a dog, in theory, could search a car like this in probably 20 to 30 seconds. If I needed that searching by hand, if I had 4 guys, if I was lucky enough to have 4 guys, I'd be looking at probably an hour to do it correctly, where you can hide things underneath the car. So it's saving time, It's quicker to find a device and quicker for us, if that device is there, to move away and go into IED procedures. Right, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, the handler has raised his hand. The dog has indicated, and he shows us the indication by sitting and pointing at the area where it is. Normally in a real life situation, we would call this dog away, but today we're going to give him a reward and demonstrate why this dog does this job. He basically searches. When he comes across the scent of an explosive or a weapon, he sits and looks at it. We give him a ball reward, which is a positive reinforcement. And basically, the nuts of it all, that's the reason why this dog does this job, and does it very effectively. And I think that deserves a little round of applause. Right, because we've found a weapon inside that vehicle, they all now become suspects. The driver is now arrested and will be taken away and handed over to local police force for interviews. Because we believe there may be drugs involved in this, we're now going to bring a drugs detection dog on that will carry out a search of the bags and the people. This is Corporal Neil Furness and drugs detection dog Luke. Luke is 4 years old. And look at the tightness how this dog works. Once again, if I was to have a search team search these guys, I'd have to find a tent so it was out in the public, out of the view of the public, the bags and whatever. We could be looking 2-3 hours. This dog will do this in 2 minutes. Once again, time saving. We notice the dog, when he's searching the person, isn't jumping up the person. We have to respect their human rights and not assault them in any way. So we're always working on the rules of minimum force. Now, ladies and gentlemen, hands gone up. This dog's indication is to lie down. Now, he's a drugs dog. We don't mind him pouring it in the bag. Obviously, with an arms explosives dog, we couldn't have that. And once again, you demonstrated what this dog... I think that one of the persons has run off. You're going to get me stand still, sir. You won't get... As I just said earlier, ladies and gentlemen, we work on the minimum amount of force. That person has run away. He's been given a challenge by the RAF police dog handler, told if you don't stand still, he will release him. He's released his dog. He's decided, I don't want any of this, and the dog has done a standoff. Because the person complied, the dog did a stand-up. He did not bite. If that person had carried on, I assure you that dog would have bitten and sustained a bite until he could have been arrested. Right, what normally happens in a village, when we do searches and people are arrested, locals start getting a bit aggressive. And as you can see, we've got now a major crowd control incident going on. Minimum amount of force is being used, but the troops are starting to trouble. The dogs are being called in. We have a gunfire and a weapon. The dog runs through the crowd, and the Belgian Malinois has taken the handler down. Military working dog Ben, a Belgian Malinois dog, demonstrated there. All the people lay to the ground with the gunshot. He's gone through the crowd and he's taken out the person with the firearm. So the person who's causing the most trouble, he has taken that person out. And I think that was an exceptional display there, and well done, Ben. His handler, by the way, has just returned from an arduous 6-month tour of Afghanistan with search dogs out there, so he deserves a round of applause for that. Right, ladies and gentlemen, it's been our privilege to bring this to you this afternoon, demonstrating in only 20-25 minutes the capability of the Royal Air Force Police. As I mentioned, all of these boys and girls have served in Afghanistan, some have served in Iraq also. We're extremely proud to be here this afternoon, and in that we would like to put all the boys and girls on parade. And also, you just see marching up at the front is Flight Sergeant Will Barrow with Buster. As you've seen on the TV, Buster has been put forward for Friends for Life. Now, there is a reason. Yes, he has done 2 tours of Bosnia. He has done a tour of Iraq, and he has done a tour of Afghanistan. Exceptional. We love this dog. He means a lot to us. Tomorrow is his last day in the Royal Air Force. He's being retired, and on Monday, he flies with Will Barrow to Cyprus for his retirement. Will's posted out to Cyprus, so he's going to spend the rest of his days running up and down the beach. So you may ask, why has Buster been put forward for Friends for Life? Well, it's quite simple. When he was in Bosnia, when he was in Iraq, when he was out in Afghanistan, it's not all the massive amount of searches that he'd done, the stuff that he found, the saving of lives. Of course, that's important. That's what we're here to do. But what brought this dog to everybody's attention is his character. In the evening, when they finished the patrol, all the infantry guys, absolutely exhausted, really stressful conditions working in, this little fella would come around each and every one of them for a little pat and a cuddle, and it just reassured the troops, give them a bit of sense of what it's like to be at home. That's why he's here for Friends for Life. And I can assure you, he is our friend for life. Right, ladies and gentlemen, before you is Flight Sergeant Phil Brown, Provost Marshal's Dog Inspector, who will give the salute to Officer Commanding Military Working Dogs for the Royal Air Force Police, Flight Lieutenant Mick Larkman. And it is my privilege and our privilege to be here today. We give you the Royal Air Force Police and their dogs.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you think it'd be appropriate to stand and salute the dog team of the RAF Display and all our servicemen around the world? Wonderful, wonderful work. Thank you very much indeed, boys and girls, mums and dads. That was fantastic, and a very big thank you too to Flight Sergeant Arthur Sargent for the commentary, taking us through that wonderful display. Well, we got 1 or 2 noisy little devils outside, and those noisy little devils are going to bring us the fun and excitement of flyball. So stay with us, because that's coming very shortly.